How's it going, everybody? The monthly check-in and all that with you guys is here. AJ, Owen, and myself, B and Ashley. Uh, Here to talk about various things. Mainly in the sense that we have a thing in Squid Game that finishes after 3 seasons that people feel mixed about, although maybe that was the intention. And then we also get news that we're getting a third series in 21 years. Because Lisa Kudrow's fucking The Comeback is making a comeback again. Like, like season 1 was 2005, and you had to wait until 2014 for season 2, and then allegedly the quote unquote final season is 2026. What the hell?
So basically, this is her before trilogy. Is that what we're
This is
saying?
yeah. I was gonna say this is Linklater all over again. This is literally Boyhood, except it's been made into 3 TV seasons. Wow. Dear God. And then, I swear Vin Diesel is just making stuff up for the sake of it. You know, Paul Walker's coming back, like, okay, so we're doing the AI stuff again from 7. And that allegedly it's going back to street racing. Which I feel will piss some people off because people are now just expecting the crazy nonsensical bullshit that they've done ever since, what, 4? Maybe they went heavy with it in 5 with the 23-mile long fucking runway.
Why do I feel like there's been such a gap between Fast X and these new developments? And in that time in between, nobody seemed to care.
Yeah,
Hey now, when it comes to this franchise, the next step is the fact that it's more of a theme park situation, given the fact that we just announced in Hollywood, the new Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift roller coaster, which is coming to the Universal Parks next year. And it's going to be the fastest ride that we've ever created as a company.
So you're saying that Fast 11 is going to be an ad?
I didn't say that.
Not that we didn't already know. They're probably all ads for something like Corona and shit. But now we're thinking bigger.
I remember the rumors a long time ago that they were going to close Richter's in San Francisco and they were going to turn it into like Toretto's family barbecue and stuff like that. And they never went that route, thankfully. But it is funny because if you're in the queue for Fast and Furious Supercharged, there's actually a table that's there with unmarked alcohol bottles that are literally sitting there as you walk by. Like, we just missed them. They just went that way.
To some extent as well, in terms of ads, I feel like we now know why the Dune trilogy has been made. In that Denis Villeneuve just wanted to make a Bond franchise.
I'm really trying to imagine it because the has there been, even with stuff like Mendez, where there's definitely a sort of style going on, no director that's worked on Bond has really done a particular stamp, have they? And
The cl-
Villeneuve is so much his own thing. I'm real just like how everybody was always talking about Nolan wanting to do it and how Nolan should do it. It's like I couldn't imagine Nolan's Bond movie either. It would have to be a Nolan movie more than a Bond movie, and
the
that's kind of how I feel about
closest the
Villeneuve too.
closest I'd argue is probably Peter Hunt with Honor Majesties, because of how headfast he was with going with the book and trying to stick with as much as he can with the book rather than everything that got changed, for the scripts from Maybaum and Dahl beforehand. That's the
Yeah, and
closest I can think.
it does feel like its own stylistically too. Yeah.
And certainly, I feel we're probably gonna go more Craig's Casino Royale in vain, because I feel it's gonna be something very. I mean, the closest I can think of in terms of the groove that he will do is probably Prisoners esque. That sort of style. If he does want to go sort of gritty.
I was gonna say after Craig was so serious and after No Time to Die ended the way that it did, I know a lot of people were saying Bond should be light again. I don't I don't think Villeneuve's gonna suddenly be going light in his career.
Yeah, I don't feel so. Right, to some of the stuff in chat. Josie saying Fast X sounds like a gas medication. um, Bry's sinking his battleship apparently. Josie saying, "Hey team, a month from yesterday's my birthday." So in theory, depending if we're doing this the sort of last Sunday or Monday of the month next month, it'll be basically about the same time, Josie, from what I can tell from looking at my calendar. Recently read On a Wing and a Tear by Cynthia Leach Smith and A Girl and a Raccoon and The Midnight Moon by Karen Romano Young. Both fantastic reads. I'm now reading Lord in the Mist by Hope Meirlees. Okay. Yeah, this is an intriguing approach from Josie. Looking at the Daily Planet from Superman, the Daily Bugle from Marvel, and the Gotham Gazette from Batman, what sponsors and ad dollars could you see them getting? And without getting too deep into politics, what could you imagine being left, right, or centre?
Josie, before I get started with this answer, I'm going to say right now I have plausible deniability when it comes to anything politics and don't know the definition of left, right, or center, so I'm out of that.
I mean, the closest I can. The Planet feels like it's trying to be New York Times esque.
No, for sure.
In that approach. Considering it's bloody J. Jonah Jameson and just the endless. I keep getting 24/7 in my head the fucking J.K. Simmons breathe in laugh loop. That just screams New York Post.
I think the current MCU incarnation of Jameson kind of made it clear where he would be.
Yeah. As well. Gotham Gazette.
I was
That's
thinking
the
Wall Street
interesting
Journal.
one because that's the one that sort of really isn't brought up that much.
I was thinking Wall Street Journal for some reason. A lot more bottom line type to everything. I feel that everything is. That's why it would probably be something like that.
I feel. I kind of want to say I feel it'd be more sort of, at least in terms of UK stuff, like The Guardian or something like that.
That sounds about right.
Because I don't think, because I'm guessing, is Gotham Gazette somehow operated or owned by Bruce? Because I don't think Bruce would be the sort of guy to paywall articles like the Wall Street. Yeah.
We could always go with USA Today.
Yeah, that sort of deal. I don't think it'd be that sort of a thing that would try and paywall its stuff like I feel Daily Planet would try to. In all honesty,
I'm just trying to do the whole not getting too political thing because it's hard to. It's you kind of try to go back to like a certain era of news that's not the current one to try to do this because nowadays basically nearly every outlet feels compromised to certain degrees. So it's hard to say.
And out of this.
I'll mention this before Bri does, but holy shit, September's Criterion list.
I love and am surprised that Flow's getting a proper Criterion release and not just one of the
Yeah,
sort of side inclusions.
I mean it's an incredible list as well. We've got High and Low, which I think is making that's probably a 4K, right, rather than a first time. I want to say.
Yeah, because I've got a Criterion DVD of it, so it's existed in some format.
Then we've got Lizzie Borden's Born in Flames, and the 4K release of Spinal Tap,
which is coming out in theaters this weekend.
Say, just in time for the sequel. And then along with Flo, we're getting Jack Audiard's Read My Lips and Beat That My Heart Skipped as well, which I feel are stronger works than Amelia Press.
I notice that this is one crossover that Netflix and Criterion didn't do. I can't imagine why.
For a change. And then the Wes Anderson archive is fully complete. 10 films for the 25 years between Bottle Rocket and French Dispatch. Which means that, as well as Isle of Dogs, get their Criterion Collection debuts as well.
I love seeing the respect being put on the French Dispatch's name.
We're not the only ones, finally.
Yeah, like an actual bumper month. And it's annoying that you've got to wait till November for the next sale for you to be able to buy them cheap.
and that's also cheap in quotes.
Yeah, well, the archive is going to be expensive because that's what, 20 discs, 2 discs for each one. Yeah, only $400.
What's the next one?
Although fair play to Wes, did you see his latest project? And I don't mean Phoenician Scheme. He did a Mont Blanc typewriter advert that's doing the rounds on social media because it randomly it's him, what's his name? Rupert.
Your friend?
Yeah, Rupert Friend and Michael Cera, who for some reason is in Lederhosen. Hyping up, typewriters and all that sort of stuff. And it's and it's Wes Anderson as himself, sort of, I think. And it's oh, yeah. They're doing some music ready for the events. Cue 10 seconds of Darude Sandstorm, just for no reason, and then it's they're getting it ready for the Christmas party. It's
I thought you were going in the direction of the movie he's writing with Iowati. I did not know about any of this, and I'm very surprised. Surprised, but also not.
I mean, that's as important as well.
You said Sarah and Lederhosen, and I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah, after having actually finally caught up with Phoenician, it was yeah, it fits. Why is it taken this long for Sarah to be on fucking Wes Anderson's radar? For God's sake.
It's even better the second time.
Well, at the same time, I'm also wondering, what Iowadi's script is going to be, especially with that bloody book, which I've also caught up on from Iowadi, the unfinished Harold Hughes, which is, I'm trying to work out whether that's him being honest or him actually writing something fiction but basically spinning it out that it isn't fiction, because I don't know. Because Iowati is so sort of in character on God knows how much.
So probably some ambiguous middle ground.
Yeah. I am very intrigued by that. I don't think too much else has gone down. Just having a quick check to see if there's any other sort of major news. Nope. Nothing on the news front, at least. Trying to think. Oh, Josie's also said, I am the lit commander because I love books. I put away all the newspapers for work. Believe me, when I see the headlines, you can tell who's biased. Yep.
Word, you rock that Dewey Decimal System, Josie.
Don't forget the period and then the sort of number after it. There's a difference between 0.7 and 0.8. Damn it. I think I haven't considered the Dewey in years.
Me thinks that Brian just got his sub sunk, so he has chimed in and asked what our thoughts on the Criterion lineup for September was. Yeah, rewind about like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
.com.
Bryce said the last Oscars movie of the 2000s that he's caught up with is Inconvenient Truth, along with its sequel. Good Night and Good Luck.
Yes.
About a boy. And the lives of others. Probably to be continued. Yeah. Rachel getting married.
Oh,
Super
dear
Size
God.
Me. Vera Drake. The Weather Underground. Into the Arms of Strangers, Stories of the Kindertransport. Slumdog Millionaire. Sicko.
The joke finally makes sense, Brian.
Sicko, Volver, Water, Kinsey, In America, and Today the Divided We Fall. That's
I like
combo.
a few of those, Brian.
That's a combo.
I like a few of those movies.
I always forget about Laura Linney's Kinsey nomination.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of kind of out the blue.
So, since this show's a hodgepodge and it's not really we never have a script anyway. We just literally shoot from the hip. So I'm going to say right now, once more, I want to thank Cinemark, AMC, and Regal for taking a gamble this Monday, because it was one of those secret movie screenings. Secret movie screening, screen unseen, and it ended up being the biggest movie that they've ever done for a secret screening, and that was Jurassic World Rebirth.
Okay, they really want good publicity for that, clearly. That's
so seeing it almost 2 weeks before it was to come out. Obviously, it comes out this Friday, which I will be at Voices of Liberty on Friday, because obviously I will. Needless to say, I've already seen it, so I don't need to say much more than that. It's a fun adventure. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's not making my best of the year list or anything like that, but I enjoyed it overall.
I do
find
it sad that
back your brain off movie.
I find it sad that the whole genetically modified angle that has really been with the franchise ever since Lost World, to some extent, but really came heavily in the Jurassic World series.
Sure.
Is emphasize the cloning, so then you can have weird-looking dinosaurs that are easier to market to kids because you can copyright their appearance compared to a regular T-Rex.
So first off, there is one dinosaur that is being heavily promoted to children, and it's given the story of the movie and the unnecessary family involved with it, that needless to say is the reason why there's such a big deal about toys for this film. Now, I'll give you another answer on that. When you say all the designs of the dinosaurs, one of the actual selling points of the movie, without giving anything away, is the fact that dinosaurs got boring because they were everywhere. So they had to splice them together. And you create something that you barely see in the trailer that looks like a damn xenomorph.
Yeah, it was not. Well, as soon as people saw it in the trailer, it's like There's the HR Giga Dino.
1,000,000% looks like a xenomorph. 100%. It's called a D-Rex, actually.
Anything has to be better than the giant locusts from Dominion.
Now, don't forget, AJ, I haven't seen a Jurassic World movie since the first one. I steered clear from all the other ones.
Well, I was about to go into this little thing about how lucky you are because of that. I have such a hard time. I mean, I've heard, like positivity about this one,
It's
even
fine.
after the shit show that Dominion was.
Mhm.
I just don't get hyped for Jurassic movies. I gave a negative review to Jurassic World when it came out 10 years ago.
Yes, you
And
did.
people got so fucking mad at me for not
Yes.
liking that movie. And suddenly, at some point, when the rest started to fucking suck, people were like, you know what? I think all the Jurassic movies with World in their title do just fucking suck. So, do you genuinely think that trend is broken? Or is it more of the bar is so goddamn low?
The bar is exceedingly low, and there's some really decent action pieces in the movie that are not all completely ruined by the trailer. I'll put it that way. There are things that are ruined by the trailer, which I know doesn't affect you, but does affect whoever is watching the show right now, most likely, that hasn't got a chance to see it yet.
Because I think another Jurassic...
It's pretty much well known in all circles that Jurassic World Rebirth was going to be the secret movie across the board. It was the worst kept secret when it came to anything.
I'm assuming you have to. I guess one thing that probably helps, if I had to guess, is there's probably a lot more room for charisma now that Chris Pratt is not in it.
Jonathan Bailey is great. Jonathan Bailey is absolutely great, and he's got that Ian Malcolm mixture with Alan Grant. He's more of a Grant type, honestly, and that's what he's played as. And I like the way he brings what he can to the movie. And Scarlett Johansson's actually a really good addition as well.
And the way you've mentioned those two have made me lead to my concern for the film. And that is Blades getting killed off.
Do you want to... I mean, I'm not going to say if you're right or wrong. I can gladly tell you that...
because you mentioned the other two, it's clearly that they're the more prominent ones. I'll wait and see.
He's fine, and he's good, and he's very crucial to the plot.
Mm-hmm.
I just mentioned them because their chemistry, and they're playing off that chemistry. They're not a couple at all, but they kind of have a little bit of chemistry between the two of them, and it helps a lot of the scenes as well. There's a family that gets brought into this that's where yeah, exactly, AJ. I see you rolling your eyes, and I don't blame you on that.
Getting hard to tell the difference between these.
You can tell this is from the same people that did the Fast and Furious franchise, because you got to get a family involved.
So here's the thing.
Is it getting harder to tell the difference between these and the Godzilla and Kong movies?
There are some definitely elements there. I can see where you're coming from.
Am I remembering differently? Maybe I'm just thinking of Jonathan Bailey. Is Dan Stevens not in this?
No.
Or I'm thinking of Godzilla and Kong.
Yeah. You are thinking of Godzilla and Kong. So yeah, it was a crowd pleaser. Everybody really enjoyed themselves. It was probably the second best reaction I've gotten to theater in this past week. The biggest reaction is another one of the best movies of the year, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. The thing is, our list, sinners, man, I'm sorry. You just keep on dropping because everything just gets good. Everything's so good. Dropping.
When you say your screenings had a lot of reaction and a lot of positivity and cheering,
yes.
I remember the fact that you said the same thing about The Fate of the Furious.
Well, you also got to understand, when I watched The Fate of the Furious, it was a sold-out theater, and it was everybody that was going to bite on absolutely everything that was going to be on the screen.
Wait, which one's that again?
The 8th one with the submarine.
Oh, the one that they just called F8 over here, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Or Fast 8. No, because then it was F9. That was it. That's when we got even more lazy. Like,
No. I want to talk about F something, but we'll get there in a little bit. Um,
These franchises, we can say them.
shoot. The thing is, at the end of the day, it was fine. What it was, it was entertaining to watch, and it's like everybody knew what it was going to be. They actually made another theater for it. A lot of the theater chains sold out their first theater screening because everybody knew what it was going to be. It's not like Gladiator 2, which was like, wow, that's really surprising. Why do they go through that? And it's like now the bar is set so high that it could be absolutely anything. That when we get this poor fledgling indie movie that's trying to survive a theatrical release as your secret movie the next time, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh man, but we had Jurassic World, so it could have been anything. I'm just gonna leave now."
yeah.
That's a pretty big gap between Gladiator 2 and now.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, there's definitely, I shout out always the secret screenings because you never know what it might be. It could be the indie movie that could captivate you, or one of the best movies of the year, The Life of Chuck, or it could be something like Your Monster, which came out of absolute nowhere. I wasn't even expecting to even know what it was, which really surprised me. Or it could be something like a Gladiator or something like a Jurassic World that you're really not expecting it to be. So you never know. Roll the dice. If you got a chance at a secret movie, go out, check it out.
I
And it's
mean,
worth noting, I'm not entirely mad at franchises in general.
Just
It
more
goes
shit.
out tomorrow. It goes out tomorrow. Owen knows how I feel about 28 years later.
Yeah, I
So
do.
I'm not mad at all franchises, but I don't, and I'm trying to. Like I know it sounds like I've made up my mind on Rebirth, and that's going to be what I say later. But I'll try, but I'm just feeling really jaded by the Jurassic movies, and I don't want it to sound like I was going after the World ones. I don't want it to sound like I think the Lost World and the third movie are amazing or
Mm.
anything, but I like how much they didn't overcomplicate themselves compared to what the fuck's going on right now. Three gets a lot of shit. Three is so simple. It's only 90 minutes. They have to find like William H. Macy's kid or something, and dinosaur stuff happens, and that's it.
It's this one is trying to be.
They say that about all of them. Dominion was even like, hey, let's bring back Neil and Dern and Goldblum, and this is gonna be the greatest Jurassic movie since the first one. And I think Dominion is probably we can we can all agree Dominion's the worst one, right? Kind of by far.
I
Maybe
can't
that's
say
just me.
anything. See it, Dominion.
I know Fallen Kingdom gets a lot. I think Fallen Kingdom, even as somebody that hates the franchise, I can say I think Fallen Kingdom probably was hated more than it should have been because I just really did not like that first world
Mm.
that my bar was on the floor. But
yeah.
I liked World more than you do, clearly because of the theme park aspect. That was the selling point for World. And then when they got out of that, it was like, well, don't care anymore.
Speaking of previews, though, as well, at least I'm
Yes.
judging from what's listed at my local. They're doing
Okay.
quote mystery horror film 3, which I guess must mean they did do other ones at VU or View. I don't know how it's spelled. I think it's VU. Considering they're specifically saying the film is 103 minutes, which they don't usually do, to make you aware, everybody, I've got a 99% feeling that's Bring Her Back, which I've heard good things about
Yes.
from those that have seen it in America. It's from the
My God,
Philippou
yeah.
brothers, who are next giving us a documentary on backyard wrestling and deathmatch
Yes. And I'm
wrestling as
super
well.
excited for it.
What the hell? I'm guessing the reason probably why they're doing that as well is it might get overshadowed for good or for bad by Seth MacFarlane's Naked Gun Resurrection.
You know, the more I see that trailer, the more I feel like I'm going to dig it. There's a couple things. There's a scene in the movie trailer that I'm not into because I don't like a certain type of humor anymore because it drives me insane that it even has to exist. But I will say that in the context of the trailer, it plays well. So I have a feeling I'm going to dig this because he's really going full Leslie Nielsen in the trailer. I'll give him the credit, all the credit in the world.
The one
And Paul Walter Hauser's in it, and like he's in the trailer as well. So I mean, it's by One of the Lonely Island.
having seen the trailer as well, which will partly give
I've seen it
away
many
the
times
scene
now.
that I'm talking about to AJ. But part of the one bit in the trailer was just making me remind me of Hardcore Henry. And I don't know why that's even in the fucking film.
Oh Lord, I never thought about that way before.
Was like, it's such a different way for any sort of movie to be done. Not even the stuff you've seen with handheld cameras have done it in the approach of. I mean, what the closest might be. Oh, was it End of Watch that had like some of the stuff that looked like body cam footage?
I believe so.
That sort of style. So, but yeah, you can
No,
definitely tell we're in that season where
we
for some
are.
reason we got pre-orders for the Smurfs film that came out.
Don't get me started on that garbage.
That came out before pre-orders for fucking. I think for either Fantastic Four or something else. Oh no, I think pre-orders for Smurfs went up before Jurassic World. I'm like, what?
So tell me now. Obviously, we all know. Come on, I literally always have it at all times. You know where I stand. I don't hate Katy Perry, but why in the hell did they have to turn Katy Perry into Rihanna for Smurfs now? There's no reason to change the casting at all. None. And then they changed the way the music is done and everything like that. So now it's not as much of a poppy theme. It's more of like an R&B style rap like theme and like everything. It's like makes no sense at all. Katy Perry was a fine Smurfette. Why do we have to do this with Rihanna now? I don't get it.
My only answer to that question is you are much more invested in the Smurf movies than I am.
I will not watch this movie. Well, okay, everybody knows there's one reason I'll change my mind. But I mean, I will not watch this movie at all. There's no reason to whatsoever. We've got so many good trailers coming out, Ashley. I'm sure if you've got a chance to be at the Cineplex, you've seen a lot of really great stuff coming out. So many great movies coming out, so many great trailers coming out. I finally got to see For Good the other day, speaking of Jonathan Bailey. So I finally get to see that on the big screen. I kind of make it my personal mission to watch movie trailers theatrically if I can help it. And YouTube had to screw me the other day and show me a Begonia trailer, which I wanted to see on the big screen first, but I did not get a chance to.
The long, grueling time period where it took you forever to see the Iron Claw trailer.
Oh my God, tell me about it. The Smashing Machine was that way for a while too. That took forever to finally see.
It's the combat sports movies. Really want to hold back on.
They know their audience. But like literally. But yeah, a lot of good stuff coming out. A lot of good trailers for movies that are coming out later this year. This is going to be a great year. AJ and I have had this conversation a billion times. I'm sure he's mentioned it on here before. I kind of zone out from time to time. I'm sure it's been said on here time after time that there's something every single week that could potentially be best of the year material.
In the last live, we started to talk about it, but we really didn't even. We went through several, but I feel like we didn't even scratch the surface. This year's insane. And we don't even know what's going to come out of like TIFF and stuff.
No, we don't know anything about what potential awards contenders could be, but these blockbusters are actually look like they're going to be good. It is a kind of shame that you did underperform though.
Yeah, I was saying that the only concern is for this year to be as amazing as it is, these directors have to make sure they're not like having rare misses. And so I feel like so far even with the Phoenician scheme not being like a top tier Anderson, it's still very good. It's still solid Anderson for sure.
It's still a fantastic movie, and right now it's still in my top list. But I mean, every single week there's something challenging. Like I just added a new favorite movie to my list this past weekend, and I don't think I know I'm not going to be doing it next week. So who knows if how I'm gonna dig Fantastic Four.
And how
We've got Together coming out, which I'm super psyched for.
one of your favorite films from a few years back. Apparently, we're getting the week exclusive on the sequel. We're
Yeah,
getting Bad Guys 2 the week before Naked Gun, as opposed to alongside it.
I've got so much reservation about this sequel because it's like the trailer is completely unlike the original movie, and they're playing more into the haha, like goofy stuff that wasn't the first movie. I mean, I said the first movie was basically Tarantino for kids, and it was, and that's what it felt like, and I loved every second of it. This one is playing into the same trope that we have with almost every animated movie out nowadays. And that's why AJ pretty much, if you haven't noticed, does not watch many animated movies because what's the point? But he won't review them if he does watch them unless it's necessary.
Which is funny because literally a video is going out tomorrow that has an animated movie on.
Yeah, but the thing about that animated movie is not really something that it's playing on the fact that it is an animated movie because it's, from what people are saying, it's so great. So it doesn't matter that it's animated, that it literally delivers.
Yeah.
And I heard that before you even brought it up to me that this was going to be on the video this week because someone already brought it up on social media earlier this week. But yeah, I mean, I'm very reserved about Bad Guys 2, and I don't want to be that way because I love the first one, and I hope that it delivers, but the trailer does not give me much hope.
Venice
It's like Paddington in Peru. It's just like I really wanted to dig it too because I love Paddington so much, but I just couldn't get into it.
I'm just looking
I
at
love how
the rumored list for Venice is ridiculous in itself. Jim Jarmusch's next project, Paolo Sorrentino's next project, Luca Guadagnino's next project, Yorgos Lanthimos' next project, Chloe Zhao's next project,
I
Billy
knew.
Safdie's.
Hold on. I knew about most of these. Did you say we have a new Jarmus this year too?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
Father,
the first
Mother,
thing he
Sister,
said.
Brother is reportedly being considered for Venice.
I need to readjust so you don't see my growing erection right now.
But yeah, Safdie...
Dude, I think he just
Yeah, I need Jarmusch. Jarmusch is like one of my safe spaces. Like anytime he has something, I'm just yeah. I mean, something like The Dead Don't Die was a little underwhelming, but that's also like I like when he's just completely chill. Like his normal way. Like The Dead Don't Die kind of felt like it went a little outside of him.
Yeah.
I like when he's just chilling out.
But yeah,
Which
new
is most
Park
of the
Chan
time.
Wook, new Noah Baumbach, new Del Toro, new Bradley Cooper, new Aronofsky, new Edward Berger.
Do we know yet if we're getting both Linklaters? I know we're getting one for sure. The one out of Cannes, last I heard, wasn't dated yet still. But the Ethan Hawke one was.
There's no, I don't see any list here as Linklaters going in for at least Venice. And all we have confirmed for TIFF, because they actually are beginning to actually confirm stuff. Nia DaCosta with her adaptation of Hedda Gabler, which is notable because then, of course, her next project after that is going to be the 28 Years sequel, at least in terms of releasing.
I was gonna say that's January, so they're not close together.
And then the new, also as part of the special presentations, the new Steven Soderbergh project with sadly James Corden, but Michaela Cole, Andy, and McKellen. Holy shit.
Leave it to Soderbergh to do Presence and Black Bag right there together and just continue to not fucking stop. If anybody made just Black Bag by itself, they'd go, "Well, I'm good for 3 years. This will give me goodwill for a
Yeah,
little while."
depending on what happens with the release of Christopher's, we might be getting 3 Soderberghs in 1 year.
Oh,
It's like, what the fuck?
I would be totally ready for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't
There's
get me
so
wrong,
much
this will
good
be fun.
stuff coming.
Yeah, because like a lot of we talk about all that's coming. What we've gotten so far is strong. I mean, there's been a lot of weak shit, but I mean, with stuff like Sinners and Black Bag and Bob Trevino and The Life of Chuck, for me, 28 years later, to my understanding, I'll be seeing F1 sometime this week, and I'm very hyped about
You freaking should be.
it.
You're not going to get to see it in the cool way I did, but I will say that even the theatrical experience in a theater in general is worth seeing F1.
So I feel like
I'm pleased the way the
2025.
script went with that. Because at first I was fearing it was going to be some sort of explained away in terms of like how the hell this team doesn't exist in real life for the idiots that think it's actually somehow like actual pseudo documentary. They
No,
basically
it's
kind
definitely
of
not.
write it into the story that, let's say, Apex GP is maybe not one of the better teams.
That's quite an understatement when you watch the movie.
Well, you know, when they were filming it, they're literally basically taking cars that are sort of 75% of the speed the F1 cars would do, and putting them on basically giving them F1 looking wings and everything to make it look like they're faster than they are. So if they tried to spin it off in any sort of fashion, pun probably intended, considering the trailer.
Yeah, that's accurate.
I don't want to jinx anything, but I'd go as far as to say 2025 streak has started.
Mm.
So, I mean, I look at the one thing that AJ knows that no one else here knows that I haven't really made it public. It's almost July officially. And again, I'm about to disappear out into the fog in a couple months, thank God. But at the end of the day, I've also been keeping tabs on everything I've watched this year. So I've been keeping a running top 10 and a honorable mention list since the beginning of this year. So I am 100% on top of what I believe right now to be the best movies of the year. So I can do the same thing that most everyone else does for the first time.
And when I was saying that, there's one I forgot to mention that's one of my current favorite movies of the year, Final Destination, interestingly enough.
Oh, wow.
Bring Her Back, Materialist.
Yeah, Materialist was strong.
Materialist is really strong. I see. It's the thing. I had this conversation with someone at work today. It was like, I'm telling you, it's like I love Sinners is so good, and it's so good. The second time I watched it, it was even stronger the second time. But every week, I have to be like, well, Sinners dropped another spot. It dropped another spot. So much stuff is so good this year.
It's 4K comes out July 22nd, and I've already planned for that day. I'll be curious what the rewatch is like, because I know you got a rewatch.
I've seen it twice. Yes.
And I'm curious how much more it hits when you know like when you have the big picture and you know where it's going and why, and how different it'll hit.
And even knowing the subject matter and already seeing the movie once, seeing Life of Chuck for a second time, it hits just as hard too. So that's why I have this conundrum that if the world doesn't open up their minds to the best film of 2025 and know exactly what it is, then I don't know how I'm going to get another viewing of this movie that one singular view of this film, which has yet to be reviewed on the channel, is 100% the best film of the year as of this very moment.
I was saying, I could see, you're talking about Bob Trevino.
Yes, we are.
I could see it being one where when it hits a streamer, like a mainstream streamer,
It has to. I don't know when it's supposed to, but it has to go somewhere.
it's going to be one of those things that people are like talking about.
It could be a code.
Yeah.
I really think if the right people watch it and they play the telephone game and tell all their friends, I feel like it could be Coda.
And Coda had the setback of being on one of the least accessible streamers when you talk to the regular person.
Actually correct.
I'm kind of just hoping that I never see Bob Torino, and just I'll forever imagine it being the sequel to Lee Trevino's putting challenge from that joke in The Simpsons.
It's not as bad as Percy Jackson's stroke of genius.
Probably one of my favorite of all of our in-jokes. Because we've never called either one of those movies anything else.
Nope.
Sometimes I forget. I have to remember Sea of Monsters is the name of the sequel. There's times where I forget what the actual title is.
That's what a good in-joke is. It's replacing things for the rest of time. Like, you can't say Constantine without, like, pausing and saying, asshole. or Paul Blart, asshole.
Yeah.
Which will never, ever live that one down.
Now, I feel like these in-jokes go so far back, I feel like we're speaking a foreign language at this point.
If it gets that bad, I just go to the humour section of the library and just remember the title of Barry Trotter and the unnecessary sequel.
The Boat That Rocked, or Pirate Radio.
Yeah. It took a long time for me to get used to the title Pirate Radio.
Same.
Okay, technically, here's this. Technically, I haven't seen Pirate Radio.
No, we didn't. We watched The Boat That Rocked.
I only ever saw it when it was The Boat That Rocked. I don't think anything changed.
No.
But I literally have not seen it since the first time we saw it, when it was The Boat That Rocked.
Also, I'm surprised that even like somebody like the Lifetime channel hasn't yet signed the rights up to Michael Flatley's Blackbird. I am so determined for everybody to see that. As soon as it like physically becomes available, well, not physically, because it will never. God, if it gets a physical release, dear God. When it actually comes out digitally, officially, somewhere in America, I'm gonna find some excuse for it to be a Popcast movie club, because
you guys
God,
have fun with that.
No, you actually might want to do that, because we're talking nearly room territory. It's that crazy. What do you expect from Michael Flatley, for God's sake? Lord of the
Dance.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Now, if like we went through and did like a chronological list of all the in-jokes we've had throughout the years, number one, we'd basically be speaking a different language. And number two, it would be a huge Wikipedia article that would be constantly updated every day.
Well, there's a couple that are like, there was it even a faith-based movie, or was it just like a prolonged after-school special with To Save a Life? Was that faith-based?
It was the combination of both. It was a faith-based after-school special that somehow got a theatrical release.
Our in-joke for that movie's probably too insensitive to say, but
yep.
If you know the subject, if you know the subject matter of the movie, it's not a nice joke, but it got us through that piece of shit. and several other piece of shits when we'd reference back to it.
There are things that we definitely can't talk about, especially on on the internet. But I will say that most of our in jokes throughout the years have been super funny, and funny, crazily enough, one of the in jokes that I created many years ago actually made it to Halloween Horror Nights in 2018.
The Percy Jackson thing is it was because the Percy Jackson the first movie is such a stupidly long title. It's Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief. The
Yes.
full title. And for some reason, your mind went to that fucking psychopath Jim Caviezel made a golfing movie that nobody saw like 20 years ago.
Bobby Jones' Stroke of Genius.
So the joke became Percy Jackson's Stroke of Genius.
Yes.
So then Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters comes out, and we're like, well, so what's this one's title? And for some reason, I thought we needed to stick to the golf theme.
Yeah.
So I called it Percy Jackson Tin Cup,
Yep.
and that's what it's been for 12 years. Like I said, sometimes I forget the title Sea of Monsters because I have only ever referred to it as Percy Jackson Tin Cup.
If they have to do it, I know they won't because of the whole Disney Plus series being more successful. But if they have to do a third, please just call it Percy Jackson: The Legend of Bag of Vance.
That is the best way to trilogy, because I was literally sitting here thinking like, what's the Percy Jackson Happy Gilmore makes no sense. What's another one? That's absolutely the right one.
That is absolutely hilarious. You went to Happy Gilmore because so did I.
Wasn't The Greatest Game Ever Played a golf movie too?
It was when I realized that Shia needs to play Eric Weiss. Houdini.
Percy Jackson, The Greatest Game Ever Played is a good one too.
Yes, definitely. Because Percy Jackson is truly the greatest game ever played. So
that makes it sound like Percy Jackson's like a womanizer.
I'm guessing you guys still never got Phantom of the Open though, from like last year or a couple of years back.
Is that a that's
with Mr. Willett Help?
Yeah.
And you know, the Queen of Paddington and Shape of Water.
She's got another meaning now too.
As well, yeah. Bring him home.
The last live video where that movie got brought up was last time. Yeah.
So yeah, back to chat because you guys have been populating it while we've been chinwagging. Luckily in a manageable fashion, I think. Bryce says, with that, I've now seen all the Best Picture nominations of the 2000s. And all 25 years of cinema, aka my life of the 21st century. Bry's doing a tier list of all the nominees on his channel, with part 1 covering 2000 to 04 being up there and the rest coming in a day or so. But Bry's Best Picture rankings for 05 and 08 are coming up. So starting off with 05, we have Munich, Good Night and Good Luck, Crash, Capote, and Brokeback Mountain. I'd say at the time I really thought Crash was really good. In hindsight, it really sort of like should have been number 5.
Oh.
Compared to the other 4.
I did a versus on this channel, I think, with Magnolia.
Yes, you did.
That was early. That was probably like 2014, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the last time I watched Crash.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I'm at with it right now.
I will say 2000. Well, Crash is always, again, I always ramp every time because it's the only thing I got. It's the only thing in the barrel, so I gotta shoot now. At the end of the day, like, Crash is going to be the biggest Hail Mary pass I've ever had when it comes to Best Picture predictions. So I'm always going to stick with that. But that being said, that 2005 lineup is phenomenal. I like every single one of those movies.
Yeah, Good Night and Good Luck's been a long time for me, also.
Well, I'm a journalist major, so it makes sense.
There was a whole section of time where I was obsessed with Capote.
Yeah.
That was before Bennett Miller really like that was pre Moneyball that I
Mhm.
had that moment.
Love Capote.
And then for '08, Bry has Frost Nixon, Milk, The Reader, Slumdog Millionaire, and Curious Case of Benjamin Button at number 1.
I like
trust
4 of those
trust
movies.
of those movies that doesn't have the reader at the bottom.
Absolutely.
That is a Weinstein Picture nomination if ever there was a Weinstein Picture nomination. And the Stephen Daldry nomination for that matter. Anything that happened to that movie was pure that era of Oscar manipulated.
But
The likes of which we have not seen since this past year. What were you saying?
it literally was one of the only times in that time frame that we were able to have all 5 movies at our theater, which was crazy to think, especially back then.
That was insane. And I loved it was that time when we kind of marathoned them when I really started appreciating Milk.
Yep.
Milk is so fucking good.
Speaking of inside jokes that we've used throughout the years.
Yeah. Another one that's probably insensitive, but you've said it several times live anyway.
I have said it several times.
We just need to say it with a disclaimer.
So we're going to dabble into spoilers of sorts here, because Bry next comes with what I said about
He's
last
going to
month.
spoil the substance for us.
I want to tell you about my experience with the substance. Here it is. When I was going into this, I knew that Elizabeth was going to be replaced, but I thought that Sue was a completely different character as she'd already replaced her and was getting the popularity. So Liz does the substance. I thought, well, she's going to the Gollum monster and then do a killing spree like the stereotypical horror way to get revenge on Sue and Harvey. I was not expecting Sue to literally come out of Elizabeth's body and actually be the same person going back and forth for specific days until Sue actually became her own person, and that's when the Gollum makeup started.
I was gonna say so was his did I hear this right? His impression was basically just out of sheer jealousy, she would just turn Gollum like or what?
Turn Gollum like and kill everyone as revenge.
And spoiler: Sue kills Elizabeth. Sue does substance, becomes an elephant man monster with 3 faces, one being Elizabeth, and then explodes with Elizabeth's head, dragging her to her Hollywood star. And I had trouble sleeping that night. At least Nosferatu got me to sleep. You must bounce on it crazy style.
Once again, I had no trouble sleeping that night. I slept like a baby. Nosferatu put me to sleep.
That's your problem.
I'm aware. Apparently, it's not the only problem I have this year. Review coming tomorrow. So.
Josie just randomly shouts out Alan. I'm trying to work out if that's a substance reference or just me doing the fucking gopher from that BBC thing. Alan! Steve!
No.
She is referencing Jurassic Park 3. That's what she's doing.
Oh, right.
She's 1,000,000% doing that. And I think the best part about this is if you read the chat, like, verbatim, word for word, Brian, like, spoils the substance, and then Josie goes, Life of Chuck was fantastic. My mom and I love that. And I'm like, hell yeah, Josie, that's right.
Before I finish it up, I still like it. I do have it on Blu-ray, along with said film on Criterion, along with Takeout, Brutalist, Complete Unknown, Conclave, Doom Part 2, Wicked Part World Robot, and September 5.
The only one I have not seen on that lineup is Takeout. Can we elaborate what that is? Because I do not know that film.
I'm trying to remember. I know it was.
It's a cry to take out one of the other ones you just mentioned. That's what it is. I was going to say, Owen, I don't know what has happened, but you are falling off, sir.
I like what I like. Just how it is. Haven't
I mean,
taken out
okay,
the video game.
okay. Well, listen. Here's the thing. Without spoiling anything, now that my thoughts are in concrete, because you have the video. You have the video. The video is on private. It'll go out tomorrow.
Yes.
Are we wanting to debate this, or do you have
Well,
thoughts?
well, it's clear when it comes to this that you're going to have a thought process that is completely independent from mine. So there's no reason for me to debate. I'm just going to say it's the same problem I have with everything nowadays. I'm just not into it. I was very bored.
For the people, we kind of went around it. We're talking about 20.
I was very bored. AJ will understand this, and I don't know long-time viewers are going to understand this or not. It's the first time I've taken out my video game controller in a while.
Oh.
And when I say my video game controller, the last time I did that was Avatar: The Way of Water, which looked like I was playing a video game without a controller. And with 28 years later, I felt like, once again, I was just watching someone play a infected video game and not a movie. I felt like I was watching The Last of Us, and I've never watched that show, so that was weird for me to say. The ending I didn't have a problem with, much as most people did.
This felt more like blooming. I get what you're feeling, because story-wise, certainly in terms of how it goes,
there's a lot to it to like.
It's very season 1 of Telltale's Walking Dead.
It definitely feels like a survival television series as a movie.
Even though there isn't as much of that as I was thinking there was going to be.
You thought there would be more? Oh boy.
Well, maybe it's because it was following up from 28 weeks later. And 28 days.
I'm so out of the loop when it comes to... The last time I saw the 28 series was when they came out in theaters. Mm-hmm. So I have not had a rewatch since then. I was a literal other person back then in every single way possible. And it's just... The acting performances were great. It looks great. It's shot well. I see what they're going for. It just... There's somebody that I feel that I hope is more into the second part of it, because I didn't think there was enough of them in the actual movie. He doesn't show up till the very, very bitter end, but he's extremely, extremely crucial to the actual plot.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be talking about two different people right now, and it's very true on both.
You're talking about somebody that already caused a fair bit of chaos earlier this year.
That would be a correct statement. And it's funny because I don't want to give anything away, but after you watch the movie and then you watch the trailer for the movie, something hits harder in a different way than it did the first time. The promotion for this movie is centered around a specific thing, and the meaning of that thing, when you actually get context, is completely different.
Do you think there's any...
Rudyard Kipling writes beautiful poetry.
Do you think there is a possibility this is a Dune situation?
It could be.
When a second movie gives you more context, you might see it more as a whole thing, and it'll kick in?
I will say right now that I'm hoping that when the sequel comes out, that they will re-release this one in the theaters so I can get a Dune situation. Because now, it just doesn't work for me.
The only
it would make sense.
Well, I guess it's not fully the right same approach. but just because Naya's like directing the quote unquote second in the trilogy,
Right.
I shouldn't be making comparisons to, the Star Wars Rey trilogy, because that
Mm.
obviously had. Because I think Garland's still doing the script for Naya's one that I'm aware of. So there is the continuity in that way. I'm just intriguing how her direction style and how she visions the project will differ from what Boyle's done with this and what Boyle will follow up with for the end of the trilogy.
Well, from what is being said in interviews that I have seen a little bit of recently, that the tone of the second movie is going to be very much reminiscent of the end of this movie, which is very divisive for the people on the internet. I've been seeing everything this past week about how everybody is just very either you like it or you don't like it. And I will say the ending myself, without giving anything away, I like the ending a lot. So maybe I'll like the second movie.
What I think is promising about her is when you look at Candyman,
I didn't see it.
and when you watch the original Candyman and then hers, it's very much this vibe. Like, there's moments in her Candyman that feel very much like, oh, this is definitely in the vibe that Bernard Rose did, while simultaneously being her own thing. So if she can do that with Boyle, that would be really interesting to see, if that's how we're gonna go.
I mean, I don't think it's gonna take a rewatch. Like, if I watched it right now again, I don't think it's gonna have the same effect. But I need to see the complete puzzle before I make it complete.
I'm also curious how she handles it, because the thing that people talked about with Year is that obviously it's got a lot of different tones.
Oh yeah.
But something I talk about in the video that goes out tomorrow is being tonally all over the place is kind of Boyle's thing.
It is.
Like, most of his movies are pretty tonally everywhere. So I'll be curious to see because what they did with Weeks, it doesn't feel a lot like a Boyle movie, but it feels in Daze's world, if that makes sense.
It does.
So I feel like there's a lot of promise to her being the one that's doing the second one. So
we shall see.
Josie saying, I think Begonia's thematic coverage of conspiracy theories could make it a sneaky contender for Best Picture.
I
can Kinds of Kindness did touch on that sort of aspect as well.
I feel like we go through this every award season, where it's like, oh, because this thing connects to the real world, it should do well. And then I feel like that never ends up actually being what happens.
The trailer was not what I was expecting, but Lanthimos is never what I'm expecting, so you never know.
Yeah, Josie did mention the Green Day track, which is a bit of a decision.
Yes. And I've only seen this one on literally the computer screen I'm currently staring at, reading the chat right now. So when I finally get a theatrical viewing of the trailer, I'm going to be a lot happier. But who knows when it's going to be at least 2 weeks before that happens, because I don't think I'm watching anything on the 4th, because I'll be at Voices all day. And there's nothing to watch because Jurassic World I've already seen.
I did think Kinds of Kindness kind of fizzled out after a while, but I'm still so fucking excited to get another Lanthimos.
I like Kinds of Kindness a lot for many reasons, and it was really funny to watch it with people too.
And just this one, obviously I didn't see that trailer, but just concept-wise, I'm really interested in it also. I'm curious how it might possibly... I know very little about both movies, but just given what's going on. I wonder how much companionship there'll be between Begonia and Eddington.
Well, it's as Bry does mention, Begonia is the bane of my existence, but I can see some of Ari Aster's influence in the trailer, which makes sense because Ari Aster is actually producing Begonia as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last time, I know Lanthimos is absolutely his own thing, but the last time Aster's name was on a movie that he didn't direct, it really felt like one of his, and I loved the movie for it, and Owen didn't. That's dream scenario, dude.
God, yeah, it was.
I welcome those Aster vibes, even when he's not actually directing it. The
Eddington-
combination of him and Lanthimos, that's fun.
Well, the thing you keep asking me, and you've asked me off camera a bunch of times about Eddington and everything and what my thought process. I've seen the trailer a couple of times now, and obviously, I just don't jive with Ari Aster at this point. I think it's pretty clear. But I mean, I have some hope for this.
You got a thing for Pew.
Well, yeah.
I've always wondered what you would think of Midsummer.
Honestly, I've been hearing so many things about. Midsummer has been in my wheelhouse for the longest time, but it's one of those doors I've never opened. Like it's something that's always hiding back there. That watch me at all times, and then the Danhausen stuff with the Summerhausen and stuff like that, and the fact that it is Pew after all. If you know, you know, and most people don't. The thing is, I will say that it's probably something I feel like I could dig. It just depends. But I don't know. I guess I have to look into it.
Because I think we talked before about how you say you're not a fan of Aster, but so far your only experience with Aster is Beau is Afraid, if I remember correctly.
But that's enough.
That's not like jumping into the deep end when you can't swim. That's jumping into the ocean when you can't swim.
Didn't he do the Northman as well? That I didn't like.
That's Eggers.
Well, same thing, really. For me, it is. I don't like either one, to be quite honest with you.
Okay. On the Eggers, so with Aster, I said, if you don't like him, I'm curious what you think of Midsummer. I'm really well. No, you saw The Witch.
I like The Witch. The Witch is the outlier.
Oh, yeah. The only Eggers you haven't seen. I'd be really curious what you thought of The Lighthouse.
I thought you were, because I didn't get it look like you were mouthing words, and I could tell you were talking about The Lighthouse because it's the one thing that I haven't watched because I like Bobby P, and that's pretty much it.
I think you've gotten past your Willem thing. I feel like you've said more positive things about him lately.
I have 100%. He's been a lot of stuff I've enjoyed lately too.
Actually, this has been 11 years now. I kind of feel like you started because what happened was you would have this thing. I don't know if it's something you still do, but you would have this thing back in the day where if an actor did something that you just really, really, really hated, that actor would carry that.
Yes.
Whenever you would see them. Like Russell Crowe and Dennis Quaid and all of them, you hated for a long time because. And for Willem, it was Antichrist.
It was definitely Antichrist.
I feel like there was a turning point with you and Willem at Grand Budapest Hotel.
100%.
I think 100%. That's where you kind of you were finally able to get the Antichrist thing off of his back.
And then there's the greatest one of all time, which will always remain the case, and that's Alfred Molina and Maverick.
Well, that one's positive. You mentioned that because that's something you love to do.
Yes. That's the polar opposite.
I just saw that interview recently where he was talking about how they did the scene in Boogie Nights and how he improvised that line. That's Cosmo, he's Chinese. And how that he only said that because he forgot his line. I don't think I knew that.
So many great things still to talk about tonight. Ashley, continue.
Yeah, Joe, it's interesting to see how auteurs I trust tackle politics a lot. What with Asta and Yorgos and Paul Thomas Anderson clearly going in that sort of vein with their stuff this year.
One Battle had a new trailer the other day, and I was very happy to see it.
I don't know anything.
Josie
One
loving
Battle.
the poster, by the way, for that as well.
God, I can't wait, AJ. I'm so excited.
I was telling you during an interview for the Phoenicians, the interviewer asked Del Toro about One Battle After Another, and he said he thinks it's PTA at his best.
That's what I've heard.
And that's not a light sentence.
No.
But that's also, maybe Del Toro's just marketing, or maybe he's, but it's immediately something that's like, in something that's already attention grabbing, that's very attention grabbing. And the fact that he's finally working with DiCaprio after DiCaprio was supposed to be Dirk Diggler all those years ago.
Yep.
And DiCaprio doesn't. Hold on, let me make sure I'm not. I mean, as far as for a very long period of time now, DiCaprio's movies are like events. Like he chooses them for a reason.
No, for sure.
A lot of people tell you Don't Look Up is weak, but
no, it's not.
It's made its impact. It's a movie that continuously still comes up, and it's 4 years old. And in this particular time, the way movie discourse works, a movie still being talked about after 4 years is a pretty big deal because the attention spans are gone. So
Tell me.
That's something. Was that his most recent movie? Was Don't Look Up before One Battle After Another?
That sounds right. I don't recall anything else off the top of my head.
Filmography. No.
Brian said, speaking of sequels, who the hell asked for a sequel to Ratatouille? Patton Oswalt's bank account, good sir.
Is that happening?
Yeah.
No,
I never.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh Jesus! Yep. That's a dumb thing to forget. I loved that movie so much, and now it looks like I didn't.
Well, everybody blames me for being the old guy who forgets things, so I'm good. They're used to that.
I sat in that theater and never got up for 3.5 hours. I just forgot for a second.
Twice. 7 hours sitting in the same theater watching that movie twice.
Cue the Scorsese absolute cinema meeting.
That's a masterpiece of a movie. I don't want that to be indicative of anything that I forgot it for a second.
I forget award season movies all the time, even the ones I absolutely love. So, I mean, you can't really blame me for anything. It's just something that kind of happens.
Bryce says, one thing got me happy this weekend. 5 Guys doing a barbershop version of SpongeBob's Ripped Pants. Hell yeah. Josie saying she loved The Materialists. Think it would pair well with either Shop Girl or Metropolitan, or both. With Spencer also saying that maybe it'd be a great double feature with My Soul to Take.
What does he think that about?
Materialists.
It's because John McGarro's in both of them. He just wants me to reevaluate My Soul to Take. Well, let me tell you something, Spencer. I spent a lot of time making that video. I know exactly how I feel about that movie. I feel the same way about it that I did 15 years ago, and nothing has changed. I'm very sorry.
Wow. Brian giving us the weird news. De Niro with his young wife and their kid met the Wiggles yesterday during their American tour.
I know there was that video where he and Scorsese were saying goodnight, and De Niro and his kid were watching. Because I love it. De Niro turned the phone and said, "This is what we're watching," and it showed like the Wiggles, and Scorsese just went, "Oh, that's great." Again with his cinema.
30 minutes more if you go to AMC now.
Josie's favourite of the year so far: Day the Earth Blew Up, Black Bag, Phoenician Scheme, Sinners, Life of Chuck, and Materialist. That's a good
I'm
list.
with you on every single thing on that list, except I've still not seen The Day the Earth Blew Up. It came and went way too fast.
I was just about to say exactly that.
Hey, at least it fucking came out and urged them so much that it's, means that Coyote Acme's actually going to get fucking seen. Although I did love the irony of the thing that Max didn't want is now on HBO Max. So, like, how the turns have table. Yeah. Bry also said, Owen, you got another video game experience coming up later this year with Avatar Fire and Ash. Are you excited?
Like hell I am.
I believe last time it came up, I believe you tell me you just legit were not going. Is that still the case?
Last time I checked, I don't think I'm going to.
And then
Because there's no point.
Oh, great. Pasek and Paul are now part of the EGOT line.
Okay, I'll say right now, good, they deserve it. If Fire and Ash runs for Best Picture, I have to. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't, then I won't.
Well, Cameron's a little bit on my shit list at the moment. I don't know how big of a story this is or not. What he said about Oppenheimer.
I did not hear this.
He called it a moral cop-out that Oppenheimer did not show the bombings of Hiroshima.
Why?
And that, well, the thing about it is, I mean, am I wrong, or is it that the whole point of the movie is that it's from his perspective directly, except for the black and white scenes, which are Downey's perspective, and those are the only point of view we are meant to have for that movie.
That makes sense.
So we're seeing it from his perspective, where they went, and you just know what happened, and even with the distance, that weight, that essentially you did that, is there, and all the consequences of that. But apparently he thought he singled out the scene with the bleachers where he sees the charred people and stuff like that, and just basically said that it was a cop out, and basically said that he would make the movie where they show the bombings. And his response was just really weird. Yep. But yeah, I don't know. And by the way, this wasn't unprovoked. They asked him about Oppenheimer. The interviewer did. But still, it seemed really out of left field to have that kind of response to it.
In terms of Spencer's other stuff, we've got a Swim Fam rewatch happening apparently for Spencer.
Who does that, Spencer? Who rewatches Swim Fam?
Swim Fam got brought up in one of the videos I randomly was watching on YouTube the other day. That's the first time I remember anything being discussed on that movie since it came out.
If I were to do like a nostalgic, trashy thriller marathon, sure. I mean, I do have a DVD of Swim Fan, so I can't really talk shit. But I had to rewatch it to do that versus with Fear, but that's literally like almost an hour of me talking about Fear. Oh, by the way, Swim Fan happened.
Spencer also asking the age-old question: what's Emily Blunt up to later this year? And the answer is the Smashing Machine.
Heck yeah, it is.
Although,
and she's doing the
busy filming whatever the fucking Spielberg thing is.
Yeah, because Josh O'Connor had to miss one of his hand screenings because of that as well.
Which is also notable because apparently we also have Lance Archer and Brian Cage and referee Chavo Guerrero in the fucking Spielberg movie. What the hell?
That is correct.
Oh, and apparently that Devil Wears Prada sequel shit happened.
Yeah, it's going, I think, possibly into production soonish.
So
Although I'm
probably
trying to
it's
work out
from
whether
the
that
sounds
comes
of it.
first or Jungle Cruise 2. Depending how long it takes to get it all done.
From the sounds of it, it kind of sounded like she'd go pretty much straight from the Spielberg movie to the Devil Wears Prada. Which I'll be curious, but I feel weird being like her biggest fan and being more or less indifferent to the Devil Wears Prada, since like anybody that's a fan of hers worships the Devil Wears Prada. But yeah, I do like that movie a fair bit, but it's not like my Mount Rushmore blunt, weirdly enough, even though it is the reason she's famous, the reason she's at the place she's at now. Because it'd
Spencer
have just
asks.
you got me on a blunt kick now. If it just be like have gone through life as an indie darling, which would have been great too, but Prada's why she got blockbuster stuff now.
Spencer asks us our favourite of the three Salem Lot adaptations.
Are we talking the Toby Hooper one, the Rob Lowe one, and the most recent one on HBO
Yeah, I'm
Max?
guessing it's probably, yeah. So it'd be
Oh,
the what? The just about 70s one, the
79.
2000s one, and then the actual movie itself from a year or so
Oh,
back.
yeah, I didn't get a chance to review it. I'll be honest with you. I very recently, like within the last couple of months, finally just saw that HBO Max one for the first time. I heard a lot of shit talked. Um, I was a little bit impressed actually. It to condense that story to 2 hours and for it to be relatively coherent because they tried that already once. They tried to. There is a 2 hour version of the Toby Hooper one, and it's completely incomprehensible. But like the way it looks, the way they made it look like fall and very small town like, with like the drive-in set and all that, it was a lot better than I was expecting, aesthetically and condensing that story. So that was surprising. And I do like and the Rob Lowe one and the Toby Hooper one have reviews.
And the Spencer also asks what your favourite and least favourite Stephen King book is.
My favorite's probably a toss-up. I would go as far as to say that It is his magnum opus because it has fucking everything. Like everything possibly Stephen King is in that one book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not big on Firestarter. Firestarter's way too exposition heavy.
Yeah. That makes sense. Uh,
Oh, I was saying it was a toss up with 11/22/63. Did I say that whole lot?
no, I don't think
That's
that the yeah the 1163 one no didn't get mentioned.
yeah, those two probably at the top, and then Firestarter's fine if you cut out like half of it where he's just explaining her power over and over and over again.
All right. Do you want to go through Josie's stuff first before we do
Yes.
the Oscars game from
Yeah.
from Bry?
So though Josie has been doing something for a while now, she's doing her personal awards lineup for the calendar year, for the school year. So there's a top 20 of the picture lineup. Could change over time as these things aren't fixed, and I had to make some tough omissions. The Ballad of Narayama from 83, The Enchanting Shadow from 60, Flight of Dragons from 82, Goddess of 1967 from 2000, Harvey Girls from 46, Kenny from 2006, wow. Killer of Sheep 78, People Under the Stairs 1990, Prince of Broadway 2008, Private Parts 1972, Rosetta 99, Shallow Grave 94, Spider Baby 67. That's going to be fun when that movie comes out soon. Strange Days from 95, Town Called Panic 2009, Tuvalu 99, Underground 95, Went the Day Well 42, Workmeister Harmonies 2000, and the winner was 1991. What a great year. Delicatessen. Okay.
Well, what was that?
Her personal awards lineup for the calendar year of movies she watched.
Okay. Yes, Delicatessen is fantastic. Jean-Pierre Jeunet is not appreciated enough.
Do I see? Okay.
By the way, before you go on, I got to go back to the King thing real quick. Just as a segue, just a shout out. I did make a purchase this past week that I felt was very necessary. And I think you'll agree, Owen. I went this route.
Oh, nice.
And I've rewatched it, and it is just as wonderful and insane as it was a few months ago.
He's over there. I can't get him right now, but he's over there. The captain keeps him at bay. That's how it works. So she goes with our director lineup. Catherine Bigelow for Strange Days, Danny Boyle for Shallow Grave, Charles Burnett for Killer of Sheep, Jack Hill for Spider Baby, Shohei Imamura for Ballad of Narayama, Emir Kusturica for Underground, Arthur Rankin and Jules Bass for Flight of the Dragons, Clara Law for Goddess of 1967, Bellatar and Agnes Horanitsky for Workmeister Harmonies, and the winner, the aforementioned Jean-Pierre Jeunet and Marc Caro for Delicatessen.
And shout out to Charles Burnett for getting into the Criterion Club.
Oh, nice. Acting ensemble went for Ballad of Narayama, Delicatessen, Enemy of the State from 98, Flight of the Dragons, The Old Dark House from 1932, 1997's Rosewood, Strange Days, Welcome or No Trespassing from 64, Went the Day Well, and the winner, Killer of Sheep. Lead actor was Harry G. Sanders for Killer of Sheep, Ken Ogata for Battle of Narayama, Denise Levant for Tuvalu, Charles Lane for Sidewalk Stories, Ed Harris for Needful Things, Christopher Eccleston and Ewan McGregor for Shallow Grave, Jean-Claude Dreyfus for Delicatessen, Lon Chaney Jr. for Spider Baby, and the winner was Shane Jacobson for Kenny. Actress was Anne Ruman for Private Parts, Lynn Redgrave for Annihilation of Fish, Betty Loti for The Enchanting Shadow, Judy Garland for The Harvey Girls, Carrie Fox, Shallow Grave, Emily Dequenu for Rosetta, Rose Byrne for Goddess of 1967, Angela Bassett for Strange Days, Jill Banner for Spider Baby, and your winner was Sumiko Sakamoto for Ballad of Narayama. Original screenplay, Annihilation of Fish, Goddess of 67, Kenny, Killer of Sheep, Moment of Innocence, People Under the Stairs, Prince of Broadway, Private Parts, Rosetta, Shallow Grave, Spider Baby, Strange Days, Underground, Welcome or No Trespassing, and the winner, Delicatessen. Adapted went for Ballad of Narayama, Beloved, Clooney Brown, The Emerald Forest, Enchanting Shadow, Flight of Dragons, Harvey Girls, Hopscotch, Cravat, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, Needful Things, The Old Dark House, School for Scoundrels from 1960, A Town Called Panic, Workmeister Harmonies, and the winner is Went the Day Well.
Hopscotch is fucking hilarious.
What's going on?
Hopscotch is fucking hilarious. I'll stand
right on.
for that.
Best Supporting Actor, we have Steve Whalen for People Under the Stairs, J.T. Walsh, Needful Things, Terry Thomas, School for Scoundrels.
I think that's Sean Whalen for the People Under the Stairs.
It says Steve, good sir. You're definitely right, it is Sean. Terry Thomas for School for Scoundrels, Vic Noto for Street Trash, Stanley Livingston for Private Parts, Karen Karagulian for Prince of Broadway, Charles Gray, not that one, if you know, you know, for The Devil Rides Out, Peter Fitz for Workmeister Harmonies, Charles Boyer for Clooney Brown, and the winner is Sid Haig, if you know, you know, for Spider Baby.
Nice.
CaptainSpaulding.com. So, lots of Horror Nights references here, either hidden or not hidden. Supporting actress, Lucille Benson for Private Parts, Sid Charisse for Harvey Girls, Glenda Jackson for Hopscotch, Mirjana Jokovic for Underground, Angela Lansbury for the Harvey Girls, Tanti Newton for Beloved, take a shot. Virginia O'Brien for the Harvey Girls, Amanda Plummer for Needful Things, Wendy Roby for The People Under the Stairs, and your winner was Marie-Laurie Dognac for Delicatessen.
Nice. Wendy Roby and Plummer shout-outs there.
Yeah. Cinematography, Underground, Tuvalu, Strange Days, Sidewalk Stories, Goddess of 67, Empty Dream, Memorable Forest, Delicatessen, Beloved, and Workmeister Harmonies was your winner. For our direction and production design, we have Barbarella, The Devil Rides Out, Enchanting Shadow, Harvey Girls, People Under the Stairs, Private Part, Street Trash, Tuvalu, Town Called Panic, and the winner was Underground. Underground also, make sure, nope, there you go. So, costumes, Ballad of Narayama, Barbarella, Beloved, Delicatessen, The Enchanting Shadow, The Iron Monkey, Private Parts, Rosewood, Tuvalu, and the winner was the Harvey Girls. And best editing went to Shallow Grave, beating Strange Days, Rosewood, Private Parts, President's Analyst, Hopscotch, Enemy of the State, and Empty Dream, Delicatessen, The Ballad of Narayama. And these don't have anything at all. They're just winners. Animated went for The Flight of the Dragons. Best makeup and hair, Private Parts. Score was Goran Bregovic for Underground. Best car, Goddess of 1967. Best boat for Tuvalu. Best house, People Under the Stairs. Best glasses, the Marie-Laurie Dognac's characters' glasses in Delicatessen. And best choreography, The Iron Monkey. So Josie brought this up, and I feel like it makes sense that we're bringing this up here because for those of you that don't remember, I was very fortunate to have discovered the wonderful Orlando Improv. And the Orlando Improv is no longer the same evening at the Improv you remember watching growing up. It's actually now called Funny Bone, and that is a slew of comedy clubs throughout the states that has nationally known comedians. I've seen so many people there. Recently, I saw Nick Swartz in there. And a couple weeks ago, I saw Eddie Griffin there, which that was the thing that happened. And I still feel bad. But one of the things I was very fortunate to see was Jason Mewes. And everybody knows, big Kevin Smith mark. And that's why I'm wearing my Movies Pop-Up shirt today. This is exclusive to the Movies Pop-Up that was at Tin Roof. Was the same place as the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast do their live shows. And the same place I met Thomas Ian Nicholas. So, needless to say, which I don't know if I even told that story before, also at the Major Pod event. But the thing is, great situation. Like, I was able to buy merchandise. Still haven't checked off the bucket list seeing Kevin Smith. Kevin was actually doing a screening the same time at my local AMC of Dogma with a live Q&A that I could not get into. So to make myself feel better, I went to go see Jason Mewes live. So it was definitely something that I recommend to do, especially if you're a fan. So it's interesting that officially July 1st, Mewes has been sober for 15 years, officially. Talks about it a lot in his stand-up, his very vulgar stand-up, which you would completely imagine. Literally got to sing the song, If You Know, You Know, as he walked out. It was phenomenal, and being able to sing it with Mewes was amazing. Love that. But yeah, Josie brought up a couple things too. So we're talking about the anniversary. Josie mentions, I'm happy for him getting healthier. It warms my heart when I see Muse post stuff about his wife and children on social media, talking about them in interviews and stand-up. Yeah, he's very graphic when he talks about his kids and everything. It's like, that's his kid, that's my kid, and everything like that. It's true, 100%. Everything that Josie's saying on here, the fact that his daughter made him a card for Father's Day that said Happy Effers Day, that's a shoot, 100%. And basically, every single time, she would always defend the fact that all the crazy things that the kid would do is because it's Muse's kid, and it makes perfect sense too. And I love everything about that stand-up, and I was very happy to be able to see it live. And Josie asked, on top of that, which director would you like to see Muse work with besides Kev? I mean, she mentions Tarantino or the Safdie brothers. God, yes, give it to me now, feed it into my veins. And animated movie voice work. G Kids.
I could totally see him in a Safdie Brothers movie.
If you want to talk about, oh my God, for sure. And, you know, honestly, if I'm going to talk about animated, I really feel like if Muse is going to do an animated voiceover that's not Clerks, the animated series, I would say I would go with, I don't know why, I just feel like he fits Leica. I don't know why. What's jumping out at me, but I feel like he would fit a Leica movie.
Maybe something like Casey Affleck's character in Paranorman or something.
Paranorman was probably the vibes I was getting when I made that comparison, for sure. Asked Josie, why would we rather eat at movies or Mallrats' food court? Well, the only knowledge we have of Mallrats' food court is the fact that the cookie stand is completely independent from it.
Yes.
And the knowledge I have of movies, as somebody that has actually had movies food, I had a really awesome chicken sandwich actually at movies. It was called the I'm gonna carny this because I'm not saying the words on camera. Is the Kizak Smizoker. So needless to say, that's what it was called, and it was glorious, and I loved every second of the movie's experience. So yeah, I would definitely, given the fact of what I am in life and what I always have been as it came to View Askew, yeah, of course I'd be eating at movies. Why wouldn't I be? But the food court is kind of untapped potential. You never know. I mean, both of them could have been possible. It just depends. I don't recall seeing any, like in the movies doesn't have chicken options. But I know for a fact there's a chicken sandwich on the actual movies menu when they did the pop-up. So, and the food court is, there's probably a Sparrow there. I have a feeling if I had to guess. So,
I feel like the only time we saw the food court was it just looked like a normal food court. I'm pretty sure there was a Sparrow there.
There's always a Sparrow there. It was the 90s, and it was a food court in a mall. Of course, there was a Sparrow there.
So yeah, I would say a movies would be more intriguing.
Yeah, for sure. Josie said I would like to take some movies memorabilia. That's what this is. I wanted a fun employee name tag. I didn't really have much money at the time when I went, so I wasn't able to buy as much as I wanted to, but there was a plethora of things you can currently get on Kev's website right now, or if you are lucky like AJ was to go to the Secret Stash, you would be able to actually get it in person.
Quick Stop shirt for $75. But it's very, very nice.
Yeah. One day it'll happen.
Worth noting, he didn't know it was $75 until he was paying for it, but
Did you know it was $75 before it was being paid for?
I saw the shirts around it and figured it was probably super expensive. But I figured he knew what he was doing. Yeah, it is really nice stuff.
It is
very, very like specific stuff, so it makes sense.
Kev is the one bucket list person I still have yet to meet. Now, Letterman's probably something that will never happen at this point, and there's no way in the world to meet Walt Disney. So the fact that Ken Gillette is something I've already checked off the list, there's nothing else that gets higher than that when it comes to meeting someone. But Kevin Smith is somebody that I've always needed to meet, wanted to meet, and one day will meet, and it just seems to keep chipping away. When Tim went to the movie's pop-up, Kev was there. He wasn't there for that. Like, they didn't run into each other or anything like that. But I mean, he got like an autograph stuff from Kev that they had there. So, and I have a lot of friends that have met him in person, and I have went to Q&As. I have went to Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. I have gone to Smodcasts. I have gone to Q&As tied into movies. I was, when the flick was out and they were doing everything at Hard Rock Live, I was there for that. And I've never been able to be fortunate enough to meet Kevin, and I feel that it's coming. Like, the fact that I get a happy birthday message from him, I think that's karma telling me it's coming. Someday you're going to finally meet Kevin Smith.
I've told my brother that I do want to go back to Red Bank, and it eats away at me that he was there the week before we were there and the week after we. So we were like right in the middle, the worst place, the worst timing, but I would love to go back as soon as possible. So
it's a place I've always wanted to visit, and given the fact that, I mean, I obviously am a big fan and literally have been Dante my whole life. Needless to say, I feel that it's a pilgrimage I have to make one of these days. I don't know how it's going to work out, but it has to happen.
When you're a Kevin Smith fan, being inside the Quick Stop is...
It's like when I went to the Guinness Book of World Records Museum in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I got to see one of the actual working Batmobiles from the television series in person, which, for me, being a Batman, Mark, that was incredible. It's the same concept. I was very much taken aback by Affleck's villain performance in Dogma. Oh, yeah. Love that performance. Favorite examples of actors who typically play baby faces playing heels or vice versa? Josie did not say this. I just wanted to use my room vernacular.
I was wondering. God, I feel like so many of that used to be a more not as common thing as it is now. But I feel like everybody's like wanting to show their heel side anymore.
Everyone except for Ricky Steamboat. That's for you, Ashley.
Yeah,
I'll shout out Kurt Russell as Stuntman Mike comes to mind.
Oh my god, I love Stuntman Mike.
Yeah.
The guy who's been doing it too much for the past 10 years, J.K. Simmons. Practically every role is. It's like... Even bloody Zootropolis, or Zootopia, whatever you want to fucking call it.
Zootropolis sounds better. I'm going to stick with it. That's what I keep calling it to this day. AJ knows that. I hate the name Zootopia so much.
I had very mixed feelings on Babylon. But I will say watching Tobey Maguire play that part was very interesting. He's one of the more memorable aspects of the movie. Anybody else? I know there's so many examples.
I just can't think of one off the top of my head.
There's going to be a lot of really obvious ones we're going to kick ourselves for not saying when we're done.
1 Hour Photo.
Yeah, I lean Insomnia, but same year.
I mean, I'm with you on that too, but for me, I feel like Insomnia is one thing, but I feel like 1 Hour Photo is one of the ones that doesn't get recognized enough for how truly dark Robin Williams got in that role. I think it's darker than Insomnia, but I think Insomnia gets more of the kudos. And of course, I love him in Death of Smoochie too.
Which
I love Death of Smoochie so much.
Which in its way is also kind of a most.
Basically, Robin
that was
Williams
also
answer this question.
It's wild that Death of Smoochie, 1 Hour Photo, and Insomnia are all 2002. he was really going through something there. I'm looking at my shelves for actors to jump out at me. Like I said, it's become so common to do that. Like Ledger is a clear example.
Oh yeah.
Was there any other Ledger apart from one of the most iconic movie villains of all time?
I can't think of any. He was always just kind of like the dude whatever guy for a while.
Well, he had his heartthrob place, and he had his like serious monsters ball place, but none of those were like villainous that I can remember.
It's hard
Yes,
also not to go. It's hard.
Why did
It's hard. It's hard. It's hard also to not go with comedic actors that took a dramatic turn. That's another way I can read this too, and which is another one that we could talk about for days. Really.
I was trying to think about what made me say Monsters Ball before I said Brokeback.
That's a very interesting thing.
I guess I could say I keep wanting to. I'm literally looking at this particular movie. I keep wanting to say Gerard Butler and Law Abiding Citizen.
Mm.
But then we have to go down the slippery slope of there's people that don't think he's a. There's a point in time where he's not. A lot of the time he is, and it's weird to me that that's controversial to say.
Denzel's traditional tweener roles in nearly everything he does now.
I mean, Alonzo Harrison, Macronus, those are the. Are there any other straight villains from him? Roy Maxson is a piece of shit.
But he's not a villain.
I guess, yeah.
Not overall.
I guess with him and Butler, it's that thing of how does one define?
Exactly what he said.
Because people get really pedantic about that word sometimes. Because then there's like antagonist, which is not the thing as villain. Essentially, who is ever in the protagonist's way that may not necessarily be evil. That's a whole mess.
And I think that is the end. Oh yeah, Jamie says for her birthday, she asked for the Jay and Bob Archie crossover comic. Hashtag manifesting for Yarlet.
We mentioned Denzel, so I'll go ahead and shout out Ethan Hawke as well. I feel like that's pretty out of left field for him.
The Grabber?
Yeah.
For sure. The new trailer looks great. I don't know what direction this is going to go, but I'm excited for it. It looks very, very, very Derrickson.
The concept is perfect.
It's terrifying, that trailer.
It's literally like, how do you do a sequel to The Black Phone? And then it's like, oh yeah, it's actually quite obvious how you do a sequel to The Black Phone.
And those sinister style Derrickson shots, which are unmistakably him, are all over that trailer, and that movie is going to be absolutely terrifying.
We reached the end.
Ashley, we are at the last
Oscars game time.
Is there anything else in the chat?
Just double checking. A couple of bits from Josie. As you guys know, I'm autistic and had a lady who worked with me taking me out into the community and stuff. She left recently for a nursing job. While I'm really happy on her new career endeavours, I do miss her, and Jay and Silent Bob have left my spirits up as I miss her.
Hell yeah, Josie. Let Kevin Smith lead you to happiness. That's what I've done many, many years.
Especially if it's with Jesus going.
And you too can buy that Major Bendy at collectmajor.com.
So yeah, the Oscars game is original songs from the 80s. Although Briar's added here, I almost feel like there needs to be a drinking game. Take a drink if you've heard the song on the radio. Please do not do this with alcohol.
The closest soda I have is in the fridge that way, and I cannot get up on camera, so That's it. Let's
So,
go. 1980,
do
the
we
year
stick?
before I was born.
Do we stick with Fame from Fame, or do we twist with Out Here on My Own, also from Fame, 9 to 5 from the same film with the same name, People Alone from The Competition, at least musically composed by the now sadly late Lalo Schifrin, and then also bloody Honeysuckle Rose is on the road again. Today years old when I found out that On the Road Again was actually written for a movie.
It was.
It seems like it should be older than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, being a side tangent sort of, being a wrestling fan, the fact that Jonathan Gresham is now coming out to Sky High, aka Mil Mascaras's music.
Wow. Why?
Good question, but it reminds me that also was written. That song does not deserve to be on a fucking Aussie exploitation with George Lazenby as the villain kung fu movie from 1975.
It's fair.
And it's hilarious just for the fact that bloody Lazenby dies with a grenade in his mouth where the pin's gone. Like
I'm gonna need a title for this movie, please.
The Man from Hong Kong.
Right. I'm on that immediately.
Find it. It is fucking amazing.
This is gonna be a really tough competition.
With this one, I'd probably stick with Fame.
Yeah, because fame I can hear in my head. The others that I do know off the top of my head, which is like the mixed just aren't really my genre. So
Yeah.
that's kind of I'm a little biased.
So this is the time that I start talking. Because I actually have stake in these categories because I know these songs very well. We're not going into like On the Road Again. It's a song that I've like known my whole life, basically. Literally have known my whole life. Came out year before I was in existence. And I love Fame. I really do in every way possible. But dude, it's 9 to 5, man. I love 9 to 5. I always have loved 9 to 5.
You must be psyched about the humanitarian. That's just something we didn't bring up.
Anytime that Dolly gets anything, I'm totally down. I'm still butthurt that I've not been to Dollywood in so long, though, because it's a park that I deeply need to visit sometime soon. Number one, I need the credits. And number two, I just love the atmosphere of Dollywood. I always have. I want cinema.
I'd like for them to get creative with it, but who's going to throw in their money that requires presenting it to? I'd love for it to be somebody out of left field, but I'd nearly bet my life at this point it's going to be McQuarrie.
I mean, if it was a perfect world and life didn't work the way it did, the person that would be presenting it would be Kenny Rogers. But that's not possible in this world.
For Dolly, I'm assuming.
Of course.
I mean, wouldn't it be Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin?
I would say so now. But if I had to think of somebody that's quintessential when it comes to Dolly, it's Kenny Rogers.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fonda and Thompson, I'm sure, will be the ones that actually present it. Because Dabney Coleman passed a while ago, too.
Thompson. You said Thompson. I know you know. Just
I do know.
For 81, do we stick with Best That You Can Do from Arthur, from Crisscross Applesauce? Or do we twist with Endless Love from the film of the same name, For Your Eyes Only, also from the film of the same name? The First Time It Happens from The Great Muppet Caper. And One More Hour from the Randy of Newmans from Ragtime.
This one will probably end up being the easiest one. For me, that's Endless Love in a landslide.
Happy Gilmore.
Well, the song itself, but yeah, that may or may not have been the first place I ever heard it in my life. Yes.
It wasn't mine, but I mean that's what my mind immediately goes to. It's Endless Love for sure.
That Zamboni driver just giving it his all.
Oh yeah. God, I can't wait to see MJF on a big screen. Ah, too bad I'm not gonna be able to. Hate you, Netflix. DIF.
Honestly, I'd kind of go with For Your Eyes Only. They knew
It's
what
not.
they knew what they had with that song, with the fact that it was the first one that actually got an official fucking music video, and so much so that it was basically the entire titles of the thing, because they were like, no, let's just put Sheena Easton in the titles of the fucking Bond film because she's Sheena fucking Easton.
Fair.
Ooh,
82.
blimey, 82. Do we stick with Up Where We Belong from Officer and a Gentleman?
So good.
Or do we twist with How Do You Keep the Music Playing from Best Friends? It Might Be You from Tootsie. If We Were in Love from Yes, Giorgio. Thanks, John Williams.
Of course.
Or Eye of the Tiger from Rocky 3.
I was about to abstain, but now I have an.
Go ahead.
The only reason I was going to abstain was, with the exception of Eye of the Tiger, to be totally honest, I can't hear any of these songs. I know their names and I know they are from these movies, but I cannot conjure them in my head. The only opinion I have is that Eye of the Tiger is super overrated and I don't get it.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
I don't know when or how it overshadowed Gonna Fly Now, but that never should have happened. Eye of the Tiger is the most basic goddamn bullshit.
It's a hype anthem.
Hell, the fucking...
That's all it is. It's a hype anthem.
The track they did for Rocky 4, I think, is better than Eye of the Tiger.
I feel like Eye of the Tiger was nothing more than a meme before. Do people really get hyped by Eye of the Tiger, or are they mentally trained to think they're getting hyped by Eye of the Tiger?
Yes. Yes on both. So many gym playlists I've heard throughout the years. Yes. So many indie wrestlers throughout the year. Yes. Hulk Hogan originally, before he started coming out to American Made and Real American. Yes.
It's all Eye of the Tiger's popularity as a hype song is artificial. Sorry.
You can't. This is an easy one. This is super easy. I like Eye of the Tiger, but dude, Up Where We Belong is like cinematic greatness.
Yeah.
And you know when it's happening in the movie too, and when it starts kicking in, I was like, yes, this is exactly what I need out of my Oscar-winning songs. So yeah, it's deserving to win.
I'll say these ones. I'm not as musically keen as I wish I was. And I know if I heard these songs, I would know them immediately. It's like, oh yes, it's that one. But yeah, that might end up happening to me a lot throughout this. We'll see.
And it's a way I get to put over Joe Cocker, which is awesome. So I'm totally down with that.
Also, the fact that it was used in the soundtrack of the movie at the end, but not for the end credits, like specifically. It just builds up perfectly for it. So, time to talk about 3 movies in '83. Do you stick with Flashdance, What a Feeling? Or do we twist with Maniac from Flashdance? Over You from Tender Mercies.
My God, 84.
And Papa Can You Hear Me and The Way He Makes Me Feel from Lentil Yentil.
It might also be a bit basic, but I think I want to stick with What a Feeling.
There's a lot of good stuff here, and as much as I would love to give Michael Cimbello an Oscar, I can't, on good circumstances, do so. Maniac's great, but What a Feeling is also iconic, and it's really, really hard to go against Barbra Streisand, but I'm going to. So, yeah, What a Feeling. Yeah, that's the correct answer.
Maniac is absolutely catchy. It's interesting to me that it's an Oscar nominee.
Michael Cimbello. Let's go.
Yeah,
The next one is
I'll stick with flat. What a Feeling as well, because Giorgio
God,
Moroder, the man.
dude.
So yeah, so
I hate this lineup because every one of these I want to say yes to.
1984. Do we stick with, again, not realizing this was a soundtrack movie? I just called to say I love you from The Woman in
Yes.
Red.
Right?
Or do we twist with Against All Odds from Against All Odds?
So good.
Footloose or Let's Hear It for the Boy from Footloose.
God,
And
there's so
Ray
many
Parker Jr. doing Ghostbusters. Fuck!
I hate having to choose here. I really do.
Shout out to Let's Hear It for the Boy, because that's a really good one that's obviously overshadowed by Footloose.
Yeah.
I love Let's Hear It for the Boy. It's the one I actually heard a lot more often growing up. Weirdly enough.
And now obviously Ghostbusters is like the most iconic.
Yes.
I feel like it's hard for me as a not musically keen person to say when something doesn't feel like what makes a song Oscar worthy is the question.
And that's my selfish question for 14 years now.
I don't because you'd think like prestige songs, and Ghostbusters is like a fucking party song for a good reason.
Yeah.
It's iconic. I'll say Ghostbusters. I don't care.
Actually.
I kind of go with Phil Collins for Against All Odds.
It's so hard to go against Phil Collins here. It really is.
Like,
love Ray Parker Jr., but god dang, it's Phil Collins.
A damn good track. Again, it's like it's a really strong year. They're all really good tracks.
There's nothing on this lineup that's wrong. If you pick any of them, you're not wrong at all.
I mean,
Kenny Loggins has taken a beating throughout the years,
extent,
but Footloose is fantastic.
To some extent, it's a shame that means Woman in Red is a Oscar-winning film, because the content of the main film's kind of crap, but Wanda's track's bloody good. And again, it's another case of, as I say, didn't know that was specifically. Then again, same with Against All Odds, so.
Mm-hmm.
The Woman in Red is a fucking weird movie.
Yeah. Well, Gene Wilder was in it in the mid-'80s. That pretty much was his fucking raison d'etre in the mid-'80s.
I will shout out every single thing that's nominated, but at the end of the day, I have to go with... It's down to two, and I can't think which one I want to go towards. Ghostbusters is iconic.
It sounded to me like you were settling on Phil.
Ghostbusters has personal connection. I will not go further than that. But at the end of the day, Phil Collins is just such a phenomenal vocalist that I still to this day am butthurt I never got to see live.
For 85, do we stick with Say You Say Me from White Nights?
I'm just waving back and forth as I'm hearing that song in my head right now.
Or twist to Separate Lives, also from White Nights. Sister from The Color Purple. Surprise, Surprise from a chorus line. Or The Power of Love from Back to the Future.
Not to be confused with another Power of Love song that we heard in a couple years ago in a movie.
Obviously, the Power of Love has its own iconic status. So, but yeah, what Owen was saying about when you hear "Say You Say Me's" title, it's like right there immediately. It's like
Oh, yeah.
instantaneous.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that says something. So I would stick.
Ashley?
Yeah, I'd stick with "Say You Say Me" as well.
Power of Love would be the one that's always been stuck in my head. Like every time I hear it, like I'm hearing Huey Lewis's voice in my head right now as I'm literally talking about it. But nah, Say You Say Me.
For 86, stick with "Take My Breath Away" from Top Gun. Hi, Georgia. Or twist with. Wow, what a mix this is. "Somewhere Out There" for An American Tale.
Where's that?
Glory of Love from Karate Kid Part 2. Mean Green Mother from Outer Space from Little Shop of Horrors. And Life in a Looking Glass from That's Life.
Mean Green Mother from Outer Space is very tempting.
It's down to 2 for me.
It was the one I was about to go with, and now I've already forgotten it. What was the winner again?
Oh,
Take My Breath Away.
Yeah, that is hard to beat. I probably would stick with that, but Mean Green Mother from Outer Space is like kind of what I really want to see.
Ashley?
Yeah, I'd probably stick with "Take My Breath Away" as well. It just summed
It's
up
such
the
a
80s vibe that it was obviously going for. Because it's
it's
Giorgio
such,
Moroder. It's synth.
it's such a great song, but the song that has always connected with me in this lineup is Somewhere Out There. I was
Mm-hmm.
always into American Tail, and I love the song. I remember like crying when I first heard it the first time, and that I'd have to go with it.
I really wish Bluth resonated with me more.
I get it, but it does work for. There's some great songs on here, man. Seriously, look at some of the stuff coming up.
For 87, do we stick with "I've Had the Time of My Life" from Dirty Dancing? Or twist with "Cry Freedom" from the film of the same name? "Shakedown" from Bob Seger for Beverly Hills Cop 2?
Heck yeah.
Storybook Love from The Princess Bride? Or Diane motherfucking Warren! She's finally arrived! With Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now from Mannequin.
They picked a very good winner, but as cheesy as it is, it's kind of a cheesy song, yeah. But I really feel myself in my core when I hear "Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now." I think I have to say that.
Remember when
Fair.
Diane did those kind of songs and not whatever the hell it is that she gets nominated for every year? Trust me, like I don't. None of the stuff she's done in the last 10 years has been as memorable as the old stuff. The last one that I can at least remember and like really get into in terms of tune is what "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing" from Aerosmith. Everything sort of since is like, to be
My
fair.
prom song. As much as it'd be fun to say Bob Seger here, I do like Shakedown a lot. And as much as I really want to go with Starship here, dude, come on. Do you really have to ask me, of all people, that I'm not going to go with Time of Your Life? I was the one that put Silver Linings Playbook as my favorite movie of the decades for reasons I won't go into. But at the end of the day, that song is something I've been singing ever since that movie came out.
began to run out of ideas apparently in '88 because we only have 3
On
here.
that note, I'll be right back.
We only have 3 for '88. The winner was "Let the River Run" from Working Girl from Carly Simon, and then the other 2 nominees were "Calling You" from Baghdad Cafe, and then again another one. But then I guess I should have realised, considering the film, "Two Hearts" from Buster.
Well, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you here. Of the 3, the only movie I saw was Working Girl. And I don't remember what that song sounds like. It's been a while since I saw Working Girl, and no idea about those other 2 either. So I have nothing to add to this conversation.
You have one, Ashley?
Yeah, Let the River Run isn't bad. I'd give the edge to Two Hearts, because it is sort of,
Yeah.
Then again, that does fall into the cracks of it's basically only appeared over the end credits, so it's sort of like they just shoved it in there because Phil wanted to do it. Then again, that being said, the soundtrack also had "Groovy Kind of Love," which I can't remember whether that actually features in the film itself, or whether it was just stuck on the album. It looks like it might have been. Oh, of course, that would have been a cover anyway, so it wouldn't have counted. But yeah, I'll probably give edge to that. And then for '89,
So,
oh, go ahead.
No.
Or just for all 3, no? Like,
No. The answer is Two Hearts.
okay.
Obviously. I've not seen any of these movies, and that's fine. But it gives me an opportunity to tell a story that I've never told on here because there's no reason to ever bring it up, and I don't know if we'll ever have the chance again. AJ, are you aware that Two Hearts was done in collaboration with, I believe NBC had a show in this time frame called Friday Night Videos?
I don't know anything about this song.
No.
At least that I know of.
So, Ashley, I don't remember if you remember this, but there was a magazine article with Phil Collins dressed up in red and white with hearts all over, basically wearing gear. And they were promoting Saturday night's main event on NBC, which was featuring the Ultimate Warrior at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a video that exists, and you can check it on YouTube if you want, of the Ultimate Warrior wrestling Phil Collins in said outfit with Two Hearts playing in the background.
Phil Collins, the guy that saved WWF.
Bingo. So because of that,
of all the possible crossovers I thought there would be when doing
it's why I am determined to find whatever the pay-per-view feed is of that fucking show, because the theme of WrestleMania 1 was Easy Lover, and it's better than whatever generic Jim Johnson track they put over it on all the DVD and Blu-ray releases and everything.
Yep, it is literally on here. I'm looking at it right now on YouTube. It is Phil Collins against the Ultimate Warrior. I believe the picture I saw was in the WWF magazine of the Ultimate Warrior in a Phil Collins chinlock. Reverse that. Warrior literally using his wrestling technique of zero, putting a sleeper hold on Phil Collins in this picture. And I believe there was a Boston Crab. Yep, I see the picture right here. There's a Boston Crab that was in this scene too, with Two Hearts playing in the background. So yes, I wanted to bring that up here tonight.
Then for '89, Do we stick with Under the Sea from Little Mermaid? Or twist to either Kiss the Girl, also from Little Mermaid? After All from Chances Are? I Love to See You Smile from Randy Newman? From Parenthood. Let's just say the word Randy Newman. And then also The Girl Who Used to Be Me from Shirley Valentine. Kind of inspired.
I'm not particularly passionate about any of these, so I guess I'm sticking with Under the Sea. But yeah, I'm having underwhelming commentary on this one, so.
Yeah.
Ashley, you're gonna stick with the same?
Yeah, Under the Sea is just I want to say it's the most iconic one from Little Mermaid.
I love Under the Sea, and I've sung Under the Sea like live before. It was fun. Um, it's me we're talking about here. It's hard for me not go for Kiss the Girl here. So it's kind of like a 1A, 1B. Either way, Little Mermaid wins. So I would do the whole. I will go to the normal Ashley Little Mermaid for something.
Yeah, because in that respect, I'm kind of surprised. What was it? Part of Your World didn't make it in.
Yeah.
Because that I'd say is probably a stronger track than most of the other stuff.
It's a stronger track than Kiss the Girl.
Yeah.
Overall.
And Poor Unfortunate Souls is, pretty good as well, so.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to
all-time heel anthem.
Right. Bry in some of the notes with some of the stuff. Yeah, first song that contains colourful language to get nominated. I guess that's the Mean Green Mother from Outer Space reference. So yeah, next up we're going to be doing sound. Which decade do you guys want to do? We've already done 60s and the 80s, so.
What? Just keep skipping 20 years and do the 2000s?
If you want to do that, yeah. I was thinking more, maybe even go further and do 2010s.
I'd be down with that.
Well, don't forget, we also have other categories to do too. We might want to save the newer stuff for later. I don't know. I'm just kind of here. It's okay.
Yeah,
2000s are okay with.
The positive thing is if you go backwards with sound, you actually only get one category. Whereas nearly everything recent, up until when they changed it back a few years ago, we've still got the old sound mixing and sound editing.
Right.
And all that. But yeah, we'll go 2000s. We'll leave 2010s. So yeah, 2000s. Right, we've confirmed.
Almost Famous.
The only... just because I was looking into it, after her 16, failures so far, at least at getting Best Original Song, the next living person that's behind on 5 is actually John Williams himself. Let me just double check. I'm just looking at the songs. So yeah, Nice to Be Around from Cinderella Liberty, which I've never heard of. There's If We Were in Love from Giorgio. Oh, he did the song from Home Alone, and Hook, and Sabrina. Okay, that's intriguing ones which we'll eventually get to. And then he gave up on songs and he's just like, fuck it, I'm doing soundtracks instead. Actually, come to think of it, do we know if John is doing soundtracks for 2025. In which case, when is he getting his Oscar nomination in 6 months? I'll look at that when we get done. I just realised now we're actually getting a John Cena movie this week. Technically, everybody is because they're just sticking it on Amazon Prime. But there we go. And it's from the director of bloody Hardcore Henry. 2 references in
And
one
come
thing.
full circle. Take it home.
Then again, he also did Nobody and actually didn't. I enjoyed that part. So yeah. Bryce says 2000s. That's good. Right. With that, we are done. Feel like we'll be back at the end of July to do some more juiciness. Probably by that point, we'll actually know at least what's showing up at Venice, if not TIFF. So we'll be able to sort of get excited for that, considering how I already went through the maybe list and whatever. I need to get the McDonald's stuff sorted because the thing that everybody thought was going to America still hasn't, but it's come over here because apparently it was only good enough for Canada and then the UK. So you'll get my reactions to the big arch, which makes it sound like it's some sort of big euphemism or something. And whatever. So that'll be coming up with me next week or so, depending whenever it gets scheduled to go up. AJ, of course, will be having the review of 28 Years Later up in a day or so.
Tomorrow.
There we go.
I'll put it up right before I leave.
It's already up, depending when you're watching this and catching up on it and everything.
This is true.
It's with Predator Killer Killers, Deep Cover, and Mountain Head.
Nice little mix. Owen will be busy filming on July the 4th.
Darn right I will be.
And then
Home sweet home.
And then hurriedly rushing back to his place to be able to watch some GCW.
Also correct.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to know what this is? You'll find out next month.
Cinema. In terms of other stuff, find me on Twitter X at Ash is my name UK. Find Owen's her own Disney and or the Popcast network feed and all that sort of thing. AJ cannot be found on social media. And
Nope.
360 burn a brat flag. Because apparently that's the new trend. Bye bye, Keith.
I have no idea what that means, but
What?
I'm.
It's a Charlie XCX reference. Apparently.
Hasn't came across my feed yet.
I'm an old person. I'll never know what that means. Sorry.
If she at this rate, she'll probably win the Oscar for Best Song quicker than Diane Warren. On that bombshell, Owen, do the line.
Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for listening. Don't forget to go check out movies that you are excited about and movies that you're maybe not under your comfort zone and see what you think of them. Because obviously movies are preferential at the end of the day. You may agree with me, you may agree with AJ, you may agree with Ashley, you may agree with yourself, you may agree with someone else, but at least you'll go out and have a good time. So in the meantime, always remember to have the best day ever. And remember, I know you think it's risky, and maybe it is, but it'll be worth it. It's always worth it. And in the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. Until next time, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.